Ethan and Lily lived in a small village. They didn't have much money, but they had something far more valuable: love and happiness. Ethan was a hard-working farmer who spent his days in the fields, while Lily took care of their modest home. Despite their simple life, they never argued, never complained. Every evening, Ethan returned home exhausted, but the sight of Lily's warm smile made all his tiredness disappear. To Ethan, Lily was the most beautiful woman in the world, even though she didn't wear fancy dresses or expensive jewelry. And to Lily, Ethan's love was worth more than any riches. They enjoyed the little moments, sharing a meal, watching the sunset, and laughing together under the starry sky. Their love was strong, unshaken by the hardships of life. They didn't need wealth or luxury to be happy. But one day, a temptation entered their world, one that would test the strength of their love and challenge everything they believed in. One day, a wealthy man named Victor moved into the village. He was tall, handsome, and dressed in the finest clothes. Unlike Ethan, who spent his days working in the fields, Victor lived a life of comfort and luxury. He had a grand house, servants, and more money than he could ever spend. But there was one thing he didn't have: Lily. From the moment Victor saw Lily, he was captivated by her beauty. He couldn't understand how such a lovely woman lived such a simple life. She deserves more, he thought. So, he decided to win her over. Every day, when Ethan was out working, Victor visited Lily. He spoke kindly, complimented her, and slowly planted seeds of doubt in her heart. "You are too beautiful to live like this," Victor said one afternoon. "Look at your clothes, worn and old. If your husband truly loved you, wouldn't he buy you the finest dresses?" At first, Lily ignored his words. She loved Ethan and knew he worked hard to provide for her. But Victor didn't stop. Day after day, he whispered the same things. "A man who loves his wife gives her the best," he told her. "If you were with me, I would buy you the most beautiful dresses, the best jewelry. You would be the most elegant woman in the land." Lily laughed at first, shaking her head. But when she looked down at her simple dress, a thought crept into her mind. Why hasn't Ethan ever bought me anything beautiful? That evening, as Ethan sat at the table, exhausted from his long day in the fields, Lily couldn't shake off Victor's words. She looked down at her simple dress, then at her husband's rough, calloused hands. A part of her knew how hard he worked, but another part whispered, "If he really loved you, wouldn't he want you to have beautiful things?" She took a deep breath and spoke. "Ethan," she said, her voice softer than usual, "look at my dress. It's old and worn. I want a new one." Ethan looked up, surprised. Lily had never asked for anything like this before. He smiled gently. "Lily, you don't need new clothes. To me, you are the most beautiful woman in the world, no matter what you wear." But Lily didn't smile back. Instead, frustration flickered in her eyes. "If you love me, why won't you buy me a new dress? Don't you want me to look beautiful?" Ethan's heart ached. He adored his wife, and the last thing he wanted was to see her unhappy. But money was tight. "I do love you, Lily," he said, "but right now, I need to save for a new plough. Without it, I won't be able to work the fields properly." Lily sighed and turned away, disappointment heavy in her chest. She thought about Victor's words. If I were his wife, he would buy me beautiful dresses without hesitation. That night, Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He loved Lily more than anything, and seeing her unhappy hurt him deeply. She asks for so little, he thought. Even if money is tight, can't I make her happy just this once? The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Ethan made a decision. He gathered what little money he had and walked to the village market. His hands hesitated over the coins in his pocket, but when he saw a simple yet elegant dress in Lily's favourite colour, he knew he had to buy it. That evening, when he came home, he handed her the dress with a warm smile. "For you, my love," he said. Lily's eyes widened in surprise. As she held the soft fabric in her hands, tears filled her eyes. "Ethan, thank you," she whispered. She threw her arms around him, feeling love and gratitude wash over her. For a moment, doubt disappeared. Her husband loved her, and this dress was proof of that. The next morning, Lily stepped out of her house wearing the new dress Ethan had bought her. The soft fabric flowed beautifully as she walked, and for the first time in a long while, she felt radiant. As she admired her reflection in a small puddle of water, a familiar voice called out, "Ah, now that's more like it," Victor said smoothly, leaning against the fence that separated their homes. "I knew you would look stunning in something new." Lily hesitated. She knew she shouldn't stop to talk, but something about the way he spoke always made her curious. "Ethan bought it for me," she said, a small smile forming. "He wanted to make me happy." Victor nodded, but his eyes held something unreadable. "It's a nice dress," he admitted, "but something is missing." Lily frowned. "Missing?" Victor reached into his pocket and pulled out a small wooden box. When he opened it, the morning sun hit the shining gold inside. An elegant necklace, delicate rings, and a pair of beautiful earrings. The sight of them made Lily's breath catch. "A beautiful woman deserves more than just a dress," Victor said, watching her reaction. "A woman like you should be adorned with gold. This," he lifted the necklace slightly, "this would make you truly shine." Lily took a step back. "No, I can't accept that," she said quickly. "Ethan, he does his best. I don't need gold." Victor chuckled. "Need? No? But don't you want it?" He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "If your husband really loved you, wouldn't he want you to have the finest things? A dress is easy, but jewelry, that takes real devotion." Lily swallowed hard. His words lingered in her mind. She loved Ethan. She truly did. But wasn't Victor right? If Ethan loved her, why hadn't he ever given her something as beautiful as this? She shook her head, forcing herself to walk away. "No, I don't need it," she said, though her voice lacked confidence. Victor didn't argue. He simply smiled. "Suit yourself," he said, placing the jewelry back in the box. "But think about it, Lily. I'll be here, whenever you change your mind." As Lily walked back inside, she couldn't shake the image of the gold necklace from her thoughts. That evening, as Lily sat by the dim candlelight, her fingers traced the fabric of her new dress. It was beautiful, yes, but something felt incomplete. No matter how much she tried to ignore it, Victor's words echoed in her mind. A man who truly loves his wife gives her gold. She turned to Ethan, who was sitting across from her, exhausted after a long day of work. His hands were rough, covered in dirt from the fields, yet his face held a gentle warmth. "Ethan," she said softly, her voice uncertain at first. He looked up and smiled. "Yes, my love." She hesitated for a moment, but then took a deep breath. "I love this dress you got me, but I still feel like something is missing." Ethan tilted his head. "Missing? What do you mean?" She glanced away, feeling a little embarrassed. "Other women wear gold necklaces, bracelets, rings. They look elegant, cherished. I want to feel that way too. I want something special from you, something that proves your love." Ethan's smile faded slightly. He reached across the table and took her hand in his. "Lily, you are special. I work hard every day to give you everything I can. Does love really need to be proven with gold?" Lily pulled her hand away gently. "It's not about the gold itself. It's about what it means. When a man gives his wife jewelry, it shows the world that she is treasured." Ethan's heart ached. He had done everything he could to make her happy, but now it seemed like it still wasn't enough. He had little money left after buying the dress, and there was no way he could afford gold jewelry. But when he looked into Lily's hopeful eyes, he knew he couldn't bear to disappoint her. The next morning, before heading to the fields, Ethan visited his older brother, Thomas. "Brother," Ethan said hesitantly, "I need a favor." Thomas raised an eyebrow. "A favor? What is it?" Ethan sighed, feeling ashamed. "Lily, she wants gold jewelry. I don't have enough money, but I want to make her happy. Could you lend me some? I'll work for you in your fields until I pay it back." Thomas studied his younger brother's face for a long moment before nodding. "All right, Ethan, but you must work hard. My fields are full of stones, and clearing them won't be easy." Ethan nodded firmly. "I'll do whatever it takes." That day, he left with a small pouch of coins and went straight to the market. He picked out the finest gold necklace and rings he could afford. That evening, when he placed them in Lily's hands, her eyes filled with tears. "Oh, Ethan," she whispered, slipping the necklace around her neck. "Now I truly know that you love me." Ethan smiled, but deep inside, he couldn't shake the worry creeping into his heart. Would this finally be enough? Days passed, and Lily admired the gold necklace around her neck, feeling more beautiful than ever. But just as she began to feel truly satisfied, Victor, the wealthy neighbor, returned with yet another scheme. One afternoon, as Lily was tending to the small garden in front of her home, she heard his familiar voice. "Lily," Victor said smoothly, stepping closer. "I see your husband finally bought you gold. But let me ask you something. Does he truly love you?" Lily frowned. "Of course he does," she said firmly. "He worked hard and got me this beautiful jewelry." Victor chuckled, shaking his head. "Jewelry? That's nothing, my dear. A man who truly loves his wife would do more than just buy her things." Lily narrowed her eyes. "What do you mean?" Victor leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "Love isn't about dresses or gold, Lily. Love is about miracles." She stared at him, confused. "Miracles?" Victor smiled slyly. "Yes. A man who truly loves a woman would do the impossible for her. If your husband really loves you, he would perform a miracle. Can he?" Lily's heart pounded. "No man can perform miracles," she said, shaking her head. Victor smirked. "But I can." Lily took a step back. "That's impossible. Only God can perform miracles." Victor's grin widened. "That's where you're wrong. Love can create miracles. If you love me, I will show you things you have never seen before. But your husband, he can't do anything but work in the fields and bring home a few coins. Is that enough for you?" Lily's stomach twisted. She had been happy. She had thought Ethan's love was enough. But now, Victor had planted a new doubt in her heart. That evening, as Ethan returned home after another long, exhausting day in his brother's fields, he noticed something different. Lily was distant. She barely spoke as she placed food on the table. Her eyes looked sad, lost in thought. "Lily, what's wrong?" Ethan asked gently. She hesitated, then whispered, "Do you love me, Ethan?" Ethan blinked in surprise. "Of course I do, more than anything." She bit her lip. "Then, can you perform a miracle for me?" Ethan's heart sank. "A miracle," he repeated. "Lily, I'm just a simple man. I work hard for us. I give you everything I can. But miracles, they belong to the heavens." Lily looked away, disappointment filling her eyes. Ethan reached for her hands. "Lily, who told you these things?" But she didn't answer. For the first time, Ethan felt a deep fear creeping into his heart. Victor was not just trying to tempt his wife, he was trying to take her away completely. And Ethan knew that if he didn't do something soon, he might lose her forever. Ethan sat alone beneath the night sky, his heart heavier than ever. The woman he had loved with all his soul, the woman he had sacrificed everything for, was slipping away. He had given her new clothes, golden jewelry, everything within his power. But now, she longed for something impossible, a miracle. Ethan clenched his fists, his calloused hands trembling. He was just a poor farmer. He could not create miracles, but he could pray. He looked up at the vast sky, the stars twinkling like distant hopes. Tears welled in his eyes as he whispered, "Lord, I have given her all that I can. I have worked tirelessly to make her happy. But now, she asks for something beyond my reach. If you truly hear me, please, help me. Do not let me lose my wife." The night was silent. Only the wind rustled through the trees. Ethan let out a weary sigh, feeling hopeless. He dropped his head into his hands. Then, suddenly, a voice echoed through the darkness. "You seek a miracle." Ethan's head snapped up. Before him stood an old man with long silver hair and piercing blue eyes. His robes were dark, shimmering faintly in the moonlight, and in his hands he held 2 wooden sticks. Ethan jumped to his feet. Who are you?" The old man smiled. "Some call me a wizard, some call me a wanderer. But tonight I'm simply a messenger, answering your prayer." Ethan swallowed. "A messenger?" The wizard nodded and held out the 2 sticks. "These are no ordinary pieces of wood. They hold great power. With the first you can turn any person into a donkey. And with the second, you can turn them back into a human." Ethan stared in disbelief. "Turn someone into a donkey?" The wizard chuckled. "Yes, and sometimes the best way to teach a lesson is through experience." Ethan hesitated, then slowly reached out, his fingers wrapping around the sticks. They were warm, almost pulsing with energy. "But be wise," the wizard warned. "Power is dangerous in the hands of a fool. Use it carefully." Ethan's heart pounded. He didn't know if this was the answer he had prayed for, but he knew one thing. This was his chance to fight for his wife. And he would not let Victor take her away. Ethan held the 2 sticks in his hands, his heart pounding. He had prayed for a miracle, and now he had one. But would this truly bring his wife back to her senses? Would she finally see how much he loved her without the temptations of gold and magic? As he stepped into his home, he found Lily sitting near the fire, staring at the floor. Her once radiant smile was gone, replaced by sadness and doubt. He knew why. Victor's poisonous words had infected her mind. She believed that true love meant miracles. Ethan took a deep breath. It was time to show her the truth. "Lily," he said, his voice calm but firm. She looked up at him with tired eyes. "Yes, my husband. You said you wanted a miracle," he continued. "You doubted my love because I couldn't make one. But what if I could?" Her eyes widened with curiosity. "You can." Without another word, Ethan raised the first stick and gently tapped her shoulder. In an instant, Lily's body shimmered with golden light, and before she could scream, she transformed. Her hands and feet became hooves, her soft skin turned into rough fur, and a long tail swished behind her. A donkey stood in her place. Lily tried to speak, but only a loud, shocked hee-haw came out. She stumbled around the room, confused and terrified. Her eyes, filled with panic, looked at Ethan. "Do you see now, Lily?" Ethan said, watching her. "This is the miracle you wanted." Lily's mind raced. She had been so blinded by greed, by the rich man's words, that she had forgotten what truly mattered. It wasn't gold or magic. It was love, trust, and the man who had sacrificed everything for her. Tears welled in her donkey eyes. Ethan didn't wait any longer. He raised the second stick and gently touched her again. In a flash, Lily returned to her human form, falling to her knees, gasping. She looked at her hands, then up at Ethan, her face pale. "My love," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I have been such a fool." Ethan knelt beside her, cupping her face. "Love isn't about gold or miracles, Lily. It's about standing by each other, no matter what." Lily sobbed and threw her arms around him. "I see that now, and I will never doubt you again." For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt at peace. His wife was finally his again, not because of wealth or magic, but because she had truly seen the depth of his love. The next morning, as the sun rose over the fields, Victor, the wealthy neighbor, arrived at Lily's home once again. This time, he was brimming with confidence, sure that his plan had finally worked. He smirked as he stepped forward. "Well, Lily," he said smoothly, "has your husband proven his love yet? Or are you ready to leave him for a man who can give you true miracles?" Lily, standing beside Ethan, looked at Victor with clear eyes no longer clouded by greed or doubt. She smiled, but it was not the smile he expected. "Oh, Victor," she said sweetly, "you were right. Miracles do exist." Victor frowned. "What do you mean?" Before he could react, Lily raised the enchanted stick and tapped his shoulder. In an instant, his body shimmered, twisting and shrinking as golden light wrapped around him. Within seconds, his arms turned into hooves, his expensive clothes vanished, and his voice turned into a panicked hee-haw. Victor, the proud, arrogant man, was now Victor the donkey. His large eyes darted around in horror as he tried to understand what had happened. He stumbled, kicking up dust, but there was no escape. Ethan crossed his arms, nodding in approval. "A fitting punishment," he said. "Since you were so eager to take my wife, You can now work for me instead. And so, from that day forward, the once wealthy Victor spent years toiling in the fields. He carried heavy sacks of grain, pulled carts to the market, and labored under the scorching sun. As for Ethan and Lily, they lived a simple but happy life, free from greed, knowing that love, not gold, was the greatest treasure of all. Years passed, and Ethan's life had changed completely. The once poor farmer was now a wealthy man. With the help of the enchanted donkey, he had transformed his simple farm into a prosperous estate. His fields stretched far and wide. His home was no longer small and worn, and he and Lily lived in peace, free from worries about money. But while Ethan's life flourished, Victor, the man who had once mocked him, had suffered. As a donkey, he had spent years carrying heavy loads, working from sunrise to sunset. His once proud eyes had lost their arrogance, and his once strong body had grown weak with age. The man who had lived in luxury now knew what it meant to struggle. One evening, as the golden sun set over the hills, Ethan walked up to the tired donkey and sighed. He could see that Victor had learned his lesson. "It's time," Ethan said softly. He reached for the second enchanted stick and gently tapped Victor's back. In an instant, the donkey shimmered and transformed back into a man. But Victor was no longer the proud, handsome neighbor he had once been. His back was bent, his hair had grayed, and his eyes held nothing but regret. Victor fell to his knees. "I was a fool," he whispered. "I let my greed blind me. I tried to take what wasn't mine, and I paid the price. I am sorry." Ethan nodded. "Go home, Victor, and never try to steal another man's wife again." From that day forward, Victor lived a quiet, humble life, never daring to chase after another man's happiness. And as for Ethan and Lily, they lived happily ever after, knowing that love, trust, and loyalty were worth more than all the gold in the world. This story teaches us a powerful lesson about love, trust, and the dangers of greed. True love is not measured by material things, but by loyalty, kindness, and effort. Lily allowed herself to be tempted by wealth and luxury, forgetting that Ethan's love was genuine and unwavering. It wasn't the gold or fine clothes that made her valuable. It was the love and devotion her husband showed her every day. Ethan, on the other hand, demonstrated patience and resilience. Instead of reacting with anger, he found a way to teach both his wife and Victor a lesson. Through his wisdom and kindness, he not only saved his marriage, but also changed the course of his own life for the better. As for Victor, his greed led to years of suffering. He learned that trying to take shortcuts to happiness by stealing from others only leads to regret. In the end, this story reminds us to appreciate the people who love us, to value relationships over material possessions, and to never let greed cloud our judgment. Learning English through stories is a fun and effective way to improve your listening skills and vocabulary. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a new lesson.